Hello and welcome to a power-packed episode of TechGig Leader Circle, a platform where we bring you unfiltered insights from India's top technology and business leaders who are shaping the future of work, innovation, and leadership. Through candid conversations, we uncover how these leaders think, adapt, and inspire, offering you a peek into the mindset behind these titles. And today, with this conversation that we are here for a rapid fire, we are trying to uncover some short, sharp questions that spark real reflections from real leaders. And our focus for this episode is especially relevant in today's fast-changing AI-accelerated world. What's your go-to question to test mindset or learning attitude? Now, why this theme? Because in today's workplace, skills evolve, but mindset endures. As hiring becomes less about what you already know and more about your ability to learn, grow, and adapt, leaders need to identify not just resumes, but readiness. And that readiness often shows up in a curiosity, grit, emotional maturity, and the ability to take the ownership of one's learning. Now, that being said, to help us unpack this entire topic, we are thrilled to have with us a leader who truly walks the talk, Swapna Bapat, Vice President and Managing Director for India and SAARC at Palo Alto Networks. With her decades of experience across global leadership roles, Swapna has built and led teams that thrive in ambiguity, take initiative, and learn continuously. So, Swapna, thank you so much for joining us here today. And are you ready for the rapid fire round?
Thank you for having me, Sukriti. Absolutely ready.
Great. So let's dive in. Now, to begin with, what's your go-to question when you're trying to test a candidate's mindset or learning attitude?
I think I would typically ask them, what is something new that you were able to learn in the past 3 months? And I would also ask, why? Why did you even bother to learn? Was it a need for the job? And so on. That actually tells you a very important thing of how the individual has an attitude to want to do more and is not boxed within their job description. Now, is that only about the individual? No. World Economic Forum, there's been a study done that in 2030, 40% of the core skills of individuals have to change. So if a person inherently is not wanting to continuously be ahead of what is available today to learn, it's going to be a very difficult place for them to be.
Okay. Now, what's one trait you look for that shows a person takes ownership of their learning?
It would be a proof in what they have actually done as part of their career journey. Have they changed? Have they tried to be in an uncomfortable situation purposely? It's very easy to be doing something for a number of years and not bother to make a change. Have they actually tried to make that change? Now, if I take an example of my own career, I have changed technologies because technology is honestly the most exciting thing out there. Has this individual made a change in technology? It could be in any form, right? Whether you're a developer, whether you're in sales or in pre-sales. That change is scary, but that shows an individual's attitude to take on change upfront and be able to overcome that challenge. That's what I really look for, change.
Okay. When someone says they took initiative, what kind of examples make you really sit up and take the notice?
Initiatives, really examples of people solving problems. Problems are never easy. Problems could be in a company due to process, due to people. Does this individual show that they have proven to take on such a problem, which translates to something which has large impact? It's not solving a small problem. As leader, we're looking for people who take up initiatives, which translates to problem solving, which actually has an impact, a wide impact, not just, it could be one deal or one product problem. It actually has a wide impact. So initiatives have to be very purpose-driven, and problem solving is core to engineering. That's what I'm looking for.
Great. Now, how do you assess someone's grit, especially when they are up against a wall?
Someone's grit.
Yes.
Is that the question? Okay, just checking. Someone's grit against the wall it is, one could get, there are two ways you could react to such a situation. You could literally say, okay, there's nothing that can be done about it. I'm pretty much resigned. Or break down the problem into smaller solvable pieces. The ability to take something complex and big and break it down into something which is more digestible, more solvable. Then looking at those problems, what are the problems that individual can actually solve by themselves? Asking for help. It's not a bad thing because ultimately you're trying to solve something. So when grit is shown by understanding and breaking down a problem, sometimes using the power of asking for help, sometimes using the power of delegation because you are in that role, and then taking it all the way to a conclusion, which is actually showing impact.
Okay, now what reveals a person's emotional maturity in an interview? Because I think that's one of the important things that people see at a workplace.
Yes, I think you said emotional maturity. Did I get that question right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Emotional maturity, especially in complex situations, is very important. In today's world, authority is not received because of position. Authority is received when you are able to command and get that respect from individuals because of the work you do, because of the way you behave. So being kind, being understanding is very important. In an interview, typically you will find good interviewers ask situational questions. And as an interviewee, you should be ready with such situations, which have to be real in your environment, and prove that when you are in a very difficult situation, which involved working with multiple people, how did you navigate that situation, be sensitive to the environment, yet be firm and achieve the goal you were given.
All right. Now, how do you spot whether someone can separate ego from learning?
Ego from learning. I'm a firm believer, Sukriti, in the growth mindset. And the growth mindset basically means always defining a goal higher than what you have achieved. That's my version of what a growth mindset is. Now, breaking it down a bit, I set a goal for myself, I achieved it. I could feed my ego and say, hey, I've done the greatest thing in the world. Or I could say, if I did X, I'm sure I can do 3X. Right? That's the mindset to adopt. And ego is never in the play because you're always going after something bigger. And if you keep that mindset, whether it is in discovery, whether it is in quality, whether it is in growth, right? Depending on the job you're working, it is a recipe for success.
Okay. The next one up here is about the signal of adapting quickly. Now, what's a signal that someone can adapt quickly to uncertainties?
It is when they give examples of having gone through pretty big changes in their career. This could be a change in organization. Sometimes companies go through mergers. How do you navigate through a merger situation?
Right.
Sometimes it's as simple as folks who are early in career having a new boss. How do you manage to build that relationship? And that discomfort, having gone through it, having shown how they learned, they might not be successful in each case, but have they learned in that situation? Have they used those learnings the next time they went through it? That's really what I would look for in an individual.
Okay. How do you check for self-awareness during a conversation?
Self-awareness, I think it goes back to a very important aspect. And people whom I coach, including my own children, they don't listen to me, but one can always speak, is about knowing your strengths and weaknesses. Now, I guess some interviewers ask, can you tell me what your strengths and weaknesses? That's probably not, that's something rote. You prepare a set of points on strengths and weaknesses. But somebody who can articulate where they come from and are very aware of areas where they felt they could have done better. They're able to explain that with examples and how they improved over time.
Okay.
That itself shows that this person is aware of, as an individual, what do they lack and what do they have. And they also show the attitude of working on their weaknesses.
Cool. Now this is the last one here, and the final take on our rapid fire. How do you ask about failures without making it sound like a trap?
Failures, honestly, any good interviewer takes failures as a place to understand if this person is willing to learn. All of us face failures. The most successful individuals probably have faced more failure than the unsuccessful individuals.
Agreed.
Because they have taken risk. Right? When you take risk, it's 50% probability. So making the person you're interviewing comfortable in sharing upfront with them that we're trying to understand what you learn from failure rather than focusing why you failed. So if you learned something, do you take that learning and not repeat it the next time? If the individual is able to successfully show an example of having learned through a scenario, and then the next time they faced a similar situation, how they use that learning to benefit from it, it shows positive attitude, it shows self-awareness, it shows the ability of consciousness that I'm thinking through what I am, I'm learning from it, and I'm becoming a better individual the next time.
Great. I think that was fast, insightful, and sharp, just how we like it, Swapna. Thank you so much for sharing these powerful leadership lenses with us today through this rapid fire. It's an absolutely fantastic thing to talk about and focus on the softer side of hiring a software developer these days.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sukriti.
Okay, to our audience, thank you so much. You keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid of the tough questions. Until next time, this is Sukriti for TechGig Leader Circle. See you soon. Thank you.